What is up, you amazing people? Nima here, and today I want to talk about a game that has never been released in the West. Later on this week, it will. This game is called Kamiwaza Way of the Thief. This game is a PlayStation 2 era game that was only released in Japan. It's a very interesting game, and I have to thank NIS of America for hooking me up with the copy of the game. They've been a great partner this entire time. Before we start talking about the game, though, I do have to remind you guys to please hit that like and subscribe button, and if you don't, I will be moving in with you. Anyway, so Kamiwaza is a very interesting game, one that you play as a noble thief, which basically means that you're a socialist. You steal from the rich and you give to the poor. Nah, I'm just kidding. I actually kind of like that Robin Hood aspect. Now, the game starts off with you on a typical mission where you're breaking into a rich person's mansion and you're about to reclaim some of the wealth for the lower class. And as everything is going as planned, you noble thieves are doing a great job getting everything that you need, and you're in and out before anyone realizes that you're even there. Until you come across other members of your thieves guild, and they're murdering these people. Now this crosses any sort of line that you and your partner can deal with, and so you quickly decide that you're out of there. You're leaving the mansion, you're leaving the guild, and then you stumble upon a little girl. Now, without any other option, you take her and flee to safety. Essentially, there's no other place for you or her to go. The Thieves Guild is always going to be after you, and she has no other family. So you decide to live a clean life, and after 7 years of being a carpenter, everything's working out for you as well as it can be. I mean, you're a carpenter, you're not like rolling in it, but you live a fair life, and everything's going fine until the little girl, who is now more like a teenager, ends up getting sick. And this illness is like anything anyone's ever seen. In fact, the doctor doesn't know what to do. No one knows what to do, but there is a medicine that helps. The problem is that this medicine is incredibly expensive. So without any other option, you're forced back into the way of thievery. But you decide you're going to go back old school, and you're going to just be a noble thief again. Only stealing from the rich, never hurting anybody. Now, on your first mission, you're already met with your partner, who was there that first time, and he's changed quite a bit, but he is still living by that same code of being a noble thief. And he has kind of spread that life onto others, and he gives you instructions of a place where you can go, a bathhouse of all places, where they actually accept your kind, they'll teach your kind, protect you, and as well as let you exchange your items for money, and give you different missions and stuff. So that's your next goal. Now, from here, this is where the game really just kind of breaks down to being a mission-based game. You go on just different missions, some to help the people, and some to recoup the money, because you need some money. That's the thing about this game that I found the most difficult, and I'll be honest, the first couple playthroughs, I had the worst ending, because it's not like the illness and everything just goes away. No, you still have to buy the medicine for your daughter, and you have to buy it for her every day. And that medicine costs about 3,000 yen, which is incredibly expensive in this game. But at the same time, you need to also provide for the village, because the village protects you from being caught. They tear down your wanted signs. If you draw too much attention, they'll distract the guards and people like that. And if you don't give them enough, they actually start turning you in. And this is how you can end up with the worst possible game, as you're arrested and your daughter presumably dies. Now, another aspect about this game that makes it, for me, difficult is that you can't like solid snake anyone. You know, you can't come up behind them and just knock them out or anything like that. You have to actually do it in the way of stealing everything from them. You see, you can't actually hurt anyone, or you can't really hurt anyone. And that really makes this game difficult, because, you know, I'm used to like stealth games being like you're sneaking around and maybe you'll choke someone out or something. Like, that's not hurting them, I don't think. Well, it probably is doing brain damage, but whatever. No, you can't even do that in this game. And so not only do you have to be on your grind and you're constantly trying to make a lot of money for not only this village, but also to save your daughter's life, but you can't take anyone out. You have to do it in such a manner. Now, to be honest, it is a stylish manner that they have you do it. Like, you have some superhuman abilities, if I might say, is where someone can see you and you kind of disappear and you do like a quick little move, and then you automatically, you can chain that into combos where you can steal from them to the point where they have nothing and they kind of fall over. I don't know, it's a weird dynamic. I don't know what happens to them. They do end up acting like they're passed out, but this takes a whole process. You can't just come up behind them and, knock them out, so to speak. And at the same time, when you're early on as a thief and your level is somehow only 1, it takes forever to steal stuff. And the amount of stuff that you get, like, you can be working on an item for like 10 to 15 seconds and it only be worth like 30 yen, which is barely anything. You need so much more just for the medicine. And you can only steal a certain amount of things because your bag that you carry gets too full and it can actually just be filled up. And as I've noticed it, especially early on, and even going to the mansion where there's like a lot of expensive stuff, it kind of caps out around 1,500 yen. So you think about it, you're doing at least 3 missions a day without getting caught, figuring out where to steal stuff. But I will say this, there is a very, very addictive element to that game loop, and it's really fun. And a lot of encounters with like boss type characters are incredibly engaging and a lot of fun as well, because you do get this sense of like almost invincibility as you're disappearing in and out, kind of like some sort of version of Nightcrawler as you're doing all these different moves and disappearing. You're almost kind of dancing in a way while you're stealing from these guys, and that's kind of cool. And I like that aspect. I also like the aspect of just like breaking into places and finding new stuff to steal. It's actually pretty fun, and the aspect of getting better as you're playing it also really opens up a lot of doors for you that I think this game at first you kind of are hesitant, you're tentative, you kind of, on a first date or something, you don't really want to get caught stealing from her purse, No, but as you feel more comfortable in the game, you're more apt to explore and things of that nature. I will say the graphics they're not great, okay? Even for a Switch, they're not very good. You can definitely see it's from the PS2 era, which is fine, honestly, because it's not like this game is hideous or anything, and in fact, most of the characters look decent enough, and you can, it doesn't take away from the story. The sound, though, is really good. I really appreciate the music, specifically, and also just the environment. And as far as, like, performance, I had no hiccups, no problems, no crashes. This game ran beautifully. And the game also has a really great navigation system. When you commit to a mission, you always know where to go. I never actually got lost in this game. Only when I was kind of running around and trying to find stuff for myself. But even then, the maps are easy enough to memorize, and you can easily pull it up for reference and figure out where you're supposed to go next, or what maybe building you're looking for. And all that really adds to a really fun experience with the game. And this might be one of those early on, like, first, like, long form rogue type games where you kind of are meant to lose, because when you do die, and I mean game over, not just die, but game over, they roll the credits and everything, that you can pick up from where you left off. Now, restarting the game, of course, and the story and everything, but you're now a higher level thief, and you have more abilities and stuff like that. So that is kind of cool, and so you eventually will work yourself up into beating the game. I would say this probably takes around 10 to 12 hours. The first run is probably going to be your longest one, because you're still kind of figuring things out, you're learning things, but your second run, if you're going for like the good ending, is going to be quick. You're going to skip stuff, you already know the basics, you already know the village, and you kind of actually already have a good idea on what you need to do to succeed this time through. But ultimately, I would say this is a good game, and if you're into those kind of games, it's definitely worth it. I was telling Trick that this reminds me of an old game called Tenchu that was on the PS2, I believe, PS2 or PS1. It just has that, like, it's punishing, but it's fun, and there's a lot of stealth involved, and it just kind of gave me vibes from that. And that was before I knew that this game was never released in the West, and it was a PS2 era game. But that's kind of my thoughts on it. I'm kind of curious if you guys have heard of it, if you're thinking about getting it. This is the first time you're hearing about it. All comments, please let me know. Love talking with each and every one of you. But like always, guys, I'm wishing you health, wealth, and above all, I hope you're truly happy, because you make me happy. Take care, everyone. Bye-bye.